Today's episode is brought to you by the Vegas Beer Guys and the Sounds in Cinema podcast.
Everything sequel contains explicit language. And why the fudge not, you melon farmer?
Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is a Nightmare edition. Today we're talking Wes Craven's New Nightmare. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man attacking me out of the closet, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hi, Tom.
If having a screwy family makes someone crazy, then the whole world's one big, giant loony bin.
Is that Saxon?
Yes, John Saxon.
Yeah.
Wearing toupee number 3. Yes, that is John. That's John. It's kind of funny because you look up the quote on IMDb, it just says John Saxon, and for a second you're like, "Oh, it's not. That's lazy. Come on, at least say the character." Oh wait, John Saxon is John Saxon.
Yeah.
He's not his character.
Like so many people in this film.
Yeah, it gives it a kind of uncanny valley quality that everyone is playing a version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And a version of their real-life relationships as well.
Yeah.
And there's an earthquake in it that really happened.
Yes.
It's a documentary, really.
I kind of alluded to that in our ranking episode, that they got... Like, I don't know if they wrote this before that happened.
No,
or
they
after
did. I assumed that was the case, but the documentary suggests...
Did they mention that?
Yeah, they mentioned in the documentary that
they mentioned that they were filming when it happened, right?
No, I think it really creeped out the crew because it was already in the script, and then
that's what it was. Yeah,
LA
you're
experienced an earthquake, and then everyone in the crew went to Wes Craven like, "Are you a soothsayer?
What's the matter with you?
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
what are you doing?"
Oh, and I remember what it was. It was fortuitous for them because they could go around the city and get footage of fallen buildings, and
I always assumed they reverse engineered that, but the opposite is true.
Yeah.
And that's that's one of the most interesting qualities of this movie is that its relationship to reality.
Yeah, exactly.
And Wes Craven's taking full advantage of that inversion.
Yes.
You know, to make a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it's such an interesting premise.
It's such
so ahead of its time. This is a more familiar kind of style of filmmaking now, but it wasn't in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very impressive.
Yeah, but what gets me is at least on this watching for our purposes, I found the movie so impressive, despite the fact that it's not a great Nightmare movie and not a great Freddy movie.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why it's not, why it's not right at the top of the list.
Yeah,
because on its own merits, it kind of should be, but it doesn't give a good account of the Freddy formula.
Right. Yeah.
And that just makes it that's the only thing that kind of holds it back.
Mm-hmm.
Almost to the point, well, we'll talk about it, but I think there's a couple of different ways they could have gone. I think they could have eliminated Freddy completely and just have it be a different demon.
Mm-hmm.
Or a different consciousness. Or
they didn't have they weren't going to do that.
I don't think they were going to do that, or just trust that the original iconography works.
Mm-hmm.
Which, at this point, I don't think Wes Craven's willing to do, because I think he's got a...
He feels like original recipe Freddy's played out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's trying to reclaim his authorship on the series as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I don't think he's gonna speak in the voices of others necessarily.
Well, it is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. a 1994 film with 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, so well received.
So
I mentioned this in the...
essentially 100% with
Yeah.
that 30%. With that 30% bump we give it to, so it's adjusted,
107%.
adjusted for inflation, for bias inflation.
Yeah. And then, of course, directed by Wes Craven. Heard of him? The Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, both 1 and 2.
No, he didn't direct 2, did he?
Yeah, that was a surprise for me.
I was almost certain someone else directed that.
No. Swamp Thing?
Yes,
The Serpent and the Rainbow?
I recently just watched the Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
I think when we talk about the original on Patreon, I have a lot to say about how it's possible to make Swamp Thing and then two years later make a film as good as Nightmare on Elm Street. Because that's a career-ending movie.
All right, well, he also directed Shocker, The People Under the Stairs, Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Forgot he directed that. And then, of course, Screams 1 through 4. Cursed, if you remember that movie.
No.
Kind of a werewolf movie with Christina Ricci. And wait, Red Eye, too. And Red Eye I liked a lot.
Red Eye, is that recent? I mean, obviously it's not recent. It's not very recent.
Yeah. I want to say 2014?
No, he was dead by then, I'm sure.
Was he?
I think so.
I'll look it up. But that's the one with Rachel McAdams and recent Oscar winner Oppenheimer himself.
Oh, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Who apparently is alive.
2005.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, 20 years. He's apparently alive in the 28 Years Later universe, according to Danny Boyle, despite the fact that a zombie that looked exactly like him appeared in 28 Years Later.
No, interesting.
Yeah, the thing about Wes Craven's movies outside of the Scream and the Nightmare franchises is that I get excited when I realize that, there's a Wes Craven movie I haven't seen. And it's always a huge roll of the dice.
Yeah.
He's made some really awful movies over the years, and outside of his best-known works, he's not been able to kind of replicate that quality in individual projects. But
see, I do think Red Eye comes the closest.
Okay.
Red Eye's a fun kind of thriller.
Because you can to an extent, with horror auteurs like Joe Dante or John Carpenter, you can sort of go, you find these individual movies that are like hidden gems. Wes Craven doesn't really have that. Nightmare and Scream is really as good as it gets for him.
Yeah.
But that's not, that's enough.
Yeah,
because those two franchises are so packed full of forward-thinking ideas that no one else in cinema has at the time. That it's still, he's still worthy of attention and discussion because he really found something here, and then subsequently in the Scream movies that has become kind of normalized in horror cinema, cinema in generally. But he did it with a kind of sincerity that you don't see as going forward with this style of movie.
Yeah.
He's just, still able to tell this with this and Scream. You're still able to tell a straight story within the idea of meditation.
The idea of right, yeah.
And that's a really difficult. It turns out that's a really difficult tightrope
thing to do.
But he absolutely mastered it and nailed it in these two franchises. But yeah, like People Under the Stairs and Swamp Thing and Hills Have Eyes, despite the fact that he kind of, that is a franchise, but this interminable filmmaking in some of those movies. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
Serpent and the Rainbow has just that one great.
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
I know
I remember
it's based on a novel about a guy's experiences with voodoo, right?
Voodoo, yeah. Bill Pullman.
Yeah, not Bill
But-
Pullman's. He's not the guy experiencing.
No,
voodoo.
yeah. No, sorry. He's just the guy in the movie. Sorry.
That would be amazing if it was.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Bill Pullman comes back from Haiti and he's like, "Listen, guys, you gotta know the shit that's going over here. Will you star in the movie? Yeah, I suppose I will because I'm an actor. But let me tell you,
That one's got I think, a very famous one shot that you see in compilations everywhere, where he's being put, like basically being buried. He just says, "Don't bury me. I'm not dead."
that's
Famous stuff.
But he always. I mean, he's a to quote the Cudsucker proxy. He's an ideas man.
Right.
Like, even those movies that don't work, the ideas are really good. Like, People Under the Stairs is a great idea for a horror movie. It's just not a great horror movie.
Didn't you say you haven't seen it?
People Under the Stairs.
Oh, no, you haven't seen Serpent in the Rainbow. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I've seen People Under the Stairs. No, even I wouldn't make a claim like that without having seen it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, this movie had a budget of $8 million. Oh, that's interesting, because the last movie was, I think, 11. So they come down a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think, again, the idea of the movie means you can kind of cut corners, I think.
Yeah, true. Had an opening weekend of $6.6 million. In the USA, made $18 million, and in the world, $19.7. That doesn't sound very good, but we mentioned already it kind of got swallowed by Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, and I think generally, I don't think people knew necessarily what to do with it, which, in this case, is not because it was a, that it was a uneven movie or a confused movie. It's just that people were confused by it, and 5 years later, people would have known exactly what to do with this. I knew exactly what he was talking about, to quote Gary Coleman in The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we start with what I called a slowed down classic New Line logo. Looked like it was moving slower.
Well, they've got a lower budget, so they've got to eke out every moment a little bit more.
And then we see hands forging a new glove. Is this over credits? I can't remember.
I think so. My first note is that they're going for like ominous soundscapes and trying to recreate the first movie's opening shots, which makes total sense. That
right. Circle back.
So, well, it's both a reset and it's a metatextual film, and it's also Wes Craven trying to reclaim his authorship over the series. So I'm not surprised it begins this way. And it's interesting, like the way that we kind of strip away the artifice of the glove, of Freddy's blade fingers. Like, we see that there's
now it's a real hand. It's
a real hand inside. We see
which they've done before in the sense of, like, you've watched the blades grow out of the hand.
But it's kind of reversing the process.
Yeah, it feels like Wes Craven wants to do something new, and I think what he thinks is more frightening with it.
Well, I think
I don't know that it is more frightening.
In this context, I think it is the idea that we show you that it's all artifice. There's a real hand underneath there. It's mechanics, animatronics that's making the fingers move. And then they literally turn the camera around to show you the production.
Yes.
So there's a shift to very early on in the movie. This is a movie about how movies are made, and also an early reference to kind of like the way the audiences watch horror movies, because Heather immediately covers her son's eyes.
Plus, it's smart because it's a double fake out.
Yeah.
because at first what you're seeing is the glove working, so it looks like that first scene from the first movie in which it's being developed, and you see him cut off his own hand.
Yeah.
And so you think you're in, because of the first movie, you think you're in a new nightmare, literally. But the nightmare is happening for real, and then you turn the camera around, like you said, and so it's a fake out because it's a movie set.
Yeah.
Heather's there covering her son's eyes, but then it's a double fake out because it'll turn out to be a dream, and Heather's dream.
Yes.
While the hand goes nuts and is killing the
And that
crew.
idea is really scary. The idea that you're caught in a metatextual loop of having nightmares, of making films about having nightmares.
Yeah, right.
There's something really to me really terrifying about that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of my overall notes for the opening section of the movie is that it, even though everything's become metatextual, it's still being used for horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's there to increase the
and
feeling.
it sits well in that.
Well, it increases the feeling of the uncanny. You're in this limbo between reality and fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And that uncanny idea is what creates the horror. So, you know, there's definitely examples later on of movies using this kind of device, this idea of, like, turning the camera around and looking at the production, you know, as a kind of a stylistic exercise.
Yeah.
But that's not what Wes Craven's using it for. He's using it as a horror device.
Right.
And I love that. I love that you know, and what really works as a horror movie about this is that he establishes this documentary quality really early. Because, you know, people said, oh, you know, it's metatextual. Yes, it is, but at the same time, this is a real-life crew, real-life director, actors playing themselves and playing their actual relationships in life. So
yeah,
the focus is more on documentary realism than necessarily referencing ourselves making a movie in the movie. It's not just a movie within a movie. It's like the life behind the movie.
Yeah, right.
And I love the fact that they wanted Heather Langenkamp's real makeup artist husband to play his role, but he was like, no fucking way am I
exactly.
am I bringing that into the universe.
No way.
And I'm on his side there. He's like, because one of my thoughts as I'm watching this movie is, what the fuck must it have been like for Heather Langenkamp to sit in a theater and watch the premiere of this movie
with her real husband.
With everything that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, that adds I don't know if that then led to Scream 2. Where, you know, you have people watching, like, you know, the victims are watching the movie about the events of
the
Scream.
Beginning.
Yeah,
but then in Scream 3, they're also filming the movie as well, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, you know, you see this used again and again in Scream 3, and there's another example that I just thought of. Oh, one of the later Chucky movies has a very similar scene to this as well. So, it was hugely influential not only to future Wes Craven franchises, but just horror
but to other franchises as well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and again, like, the Chucky movies, I think, is sort of when they run out of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
They go to
something like this,
like self-reflexive.
Yeah.
We'll see when we do the Scream series whether it's the case of Scream 3, but Scream 3 is pretty early. I think it was just, and you know, it was just another place to go with the metatextual idea, I think.
Yeah.
At that point. But yeah, there's nothing lazy about this at all. This is
nothing lazy.
This is revitalizing the series.
Like revitalizing and just setting store out for, because it's as interesting as his first idea on the first movie to me.
Yeah. And it's, you know, this is kind of, I don't know if I've said this before or if it goes without saying, but, you know, if you think all the way back to Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
That's a movie that the content of which is absurd fiction, filmed as documentary.
Mm-hmm.
A Nightmare on Elm Street takes real investigative journalism about a spate of sleep deaths and turns it into a horror fantasy. And now he's flipped it again, so that he's turned that fantasy into documentary.
Into documentary, right?
So, he's kind of inverting his own approach to horror, and I think that's so. It's really.
I love that. And then it's funny because there's sort of something that would normally happen in all the other movies. They do something smart at the beginning of this movie because the two effects guys that work with her husband in Heather's dream, those are the two guys that die.
And one of them is Stan Winston's son, right?
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, he's an actor too. You see him in a lot of stuff. He's plays a time traveler in Star Trek Enterprise. But he's Stan Winston's
All right,
son.
settle down. But what I like is normally in these movies, Heather's character of Heather would wake up and beg her husband to probably call them and to make sure that they're okay. But he subverts that by her waking up in the middle of an earthquake, so you forget all about it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come up for a while in the movie. But when it does, it still has it lends towards it still being shocking that you have it in your back of your head that these guys probably are dead if that's what's happening. At the beginning of this movie, but you don't get to find out for a while. And I just like how Wes Craven kind of subverts what he does in previous movies with that.
Definitely. Well, I mean, before we leave
could you imagine the uncanny reality of waking up, there's an earthquake, and then you see, after the dream you just had, your husband has cut himself? Those are the things that happen throughout this movie that are directly related to everything you just said about what he's doing and the new thing that he's building. But it made for the horror for me throughout this film as I watched it.
And, the culmination of that opening sequence with the robotic arm becoming sentient, the idea of, you're making a movie, you're making a horror movie, and so there's a potential for on-set accidents with the kind of machinery you're creating. He's finding horror in the idea of film production.
Yeah.
But it's still organic. In fact, in a way, it's more organic because they're stripping away all the artifice and sort of showing you that, it's again, this is a place where there's potential for a lot of accidents and for, horror ideas even before you start rolling the film.
Yeah, right.
And again, like it's a really good sign that they establish the drama first. Even in this kind of very metatextual setup, the family unit and the potential threat to that is established in this opening scene.
Absolutely.
Also, I love the fact that they reference a kind of Halloween-style Steadicam shot, which I don't really associate with the Nightmare movies, on set. Like, there's kind of like a Steadicam moving all around. I'm like, that's that's one of the camera techniques we associate with slasher movies.
Horror, yeah.
So, it's, again, it's a film about the making of horror movies, made like a horror movie. But yeah, the earthquake, and then straight to the harassing phone calls.
Yeah, right.
Which...
And what's interesting is that seems like they're drawing on real life.
They are.
Because even recently, especially in the sports world, I don't remember when Monica Seles was stabbed, but that feels around this time.
Well, I mean, I don't think it happened to Heather Langenkamp. It happens to a lot of horror movie actresses. The one I remember is the final girl in Friday the 13th. Had a stalker, and I think it's so common. I don't think there's like one key example. That's the one that seems most closely related to this world.
To this,
but maybe it did. I mean, maybe it did happen to Heather Langenkamp as well. I don't know. I don't remember them specifying that.
They didn't talk about it,
but so again, like the real life horror that stars of slasher movies go through, and the emphasis on phone calls here, and you can see a direct line to Scream, like the importance of
Yeah, sure.
answering the
Yeah.
phone, that the kind of the killer doing most of their pre-work.
Menace. Yeah, they're menacing. They're pre-menacing.
And I just watched When a Stranger Calls, and the original. And,
I was gonna say the original or the
no
2000.
the original, and I think I the early section of that movie, I think both inspired both this and Scream in the way that phone calls are used.
Mm-hmm.
And we're straight into a discussion of the effects of slasher movies on children.
Because he's watching the original. That was really unsettling to me.
It's such, the debate is really cleverly done in the movie, because at this point we're sort of like, okay, well, kid, the starting point is kids should not be watching these movies, and then later on,
But then it's like, my mom's on TV.
right, Burns on TV. So, and then he puts all of these wrinkles and ambiguities into the discussion later on, and we'll talk about them as they go. But basically, he's sort of revealing the hypocrisy of that, stance,
Mm-hmm.
because of what else children are exposed to in culture,
Right.
and saying that it's a double standard. I love that. But at this, but like, at the starting point is, okay, right, this looks like. This looks like
bad parenting.
That's something that absolutely shouldn't happen. But let me tell you the nuances of this.
Yeah.
And also, but then there's the other side of Wes Craven, which is like, I'm creating horror as well. So this idea that, a kid who lives in a house whose mother is the Nightmare on Elm Street final girl.
Mm-hmm.
One day he will see his mother being, chased and murdered in a movie.
Yeah, right.
And, the trauma of that in and of itself is great horror filmmaking. So,
yeah, right.
I think there's that double, there's the intellectual side of Wes Craven, and he's a former academic, so he definitely has that. And then the other side of it is, what makes for good, what can I exploit for horror purposes?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting about this movie. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that as you go along, you almost have to psychoanalyze it as you go. For instance, when they wake up out of that earthquake, the earthquake cracks the wall. And of course, it cracks it in a manner that looks like the four blades of Freddy Krueger. Now, that seems a little bit on the nose. But when you think about what it would mean to Heather Langenkamp, even if she can't, because she has this great look she gives it, where it's almost a second glance.
Yeah.
And just that idea of the internal horror it sets within her.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it doesn't seem too on the nose,
No, it's the idea of the uncanny, that this is both strange and familiar, simultaneously.
Yeah.
And he's just doing that through the idea of, people who make media, and that media coming into their own lives.
Right.
Now, why does that? Is it intentional that the doorbell plays the NBC theme?
I didn't get that.
The doorbell
does
goes
it?
do do do.
Amazing.
I mean, this isn't a Universal movie, so
yeah, I don't know what that's about.
The only other time I've seen that is the finale of Seinfeld, the NBC limo.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, maybe that was just an accident.
Hmm.
I think you said in the ranking episode how much you loved the performance of the kid.
Yeah, and I think I maybe I mischaracterized, because I said that most of the horror is through the child, and he's frightening.
He is.
But I don't mean him himself. I mean, everything that happens to him is what's really, truly frightening.
But he's a creepy kid. I mean, he
is a creepy kid.
It's like...
He looks like he's being influenced by Freddy, but for me on this watching, the real horror was everything that this kid goes through. It's one of those things that happens only in movies, where so long as mom saves the kid, the movie is saying everything's going to be all right. But as I watch this movie, I'm like, oh, this kid's fucked. This kid's fucked for life. This kid's never going to stop having nightmares. He's going to be an alcoholic. He's going to have so many problems.
It's funny because, this is the trope, the idea of the creepy kid in horror, the children of the corn, children of the damned. the kid, Danny in The Shining, all of that.
Sure.
So definitely Wes is playing into that trope, but in terms of what we've seen in sequels, where the cast get progressively younger and then suddenly kids start appearing where they weren't kids before, and we haven't had anyone younger than a teenager,
right,
experience anything
to do with Freddy.
Yeah, so that's a big. That in itself,
that's a shift. That's a big shift, right?
Like a big shift, and again, like most filmmakers would be doing that to kind of lighten and sentimentalize their content.
Exactly. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Wes Craven's doing exactly the opposite.
The total opposite.
He's exploiting. He's exploiting the suffering of a child.
Yeah, he's putting that kid through the ringer.
Movie, yeah, and I love that. So I love that idea that we can see a sequel, a late stage sequel in which a kid replaces a pre-existing adult cast member, but it actually contributes to the horror of the movie rather than detracts from it.
Right.
Unlike Ghostbusters.
And then the next thing you know, Heather's driving and that limo driver is chatting up Freddy and whether or not they should have killed him.
Great supporting character. Lots of interesting.
You're that girl.
Well, also, at this stage you don't know where this is great. I'm not saying this is a criticism at all. At this part of the movie, you really don't know where the threat is coming from.
True.
Because it's not going to be your conventional Freddy in your dreams story. So this limo driver who seems to have a lot of kind of personal problems that he's keeping at bay.
He seems threatening.
Yeah, he's got to say. So you're already kind of like looking around, going, where is the terror going to come from in this movie? And it could legitimately come from him. But he represents the fandom, right? He represents the fandom of the series,
right?
And I think Wes Craven's mixed feelings about that.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a voice for Wes Craven in the movie as well, because he's sort of saying what Wes Craven's been saying in interviews all these years, that the sequels are not as good as the original, and now he's resurrecting Freddy. He can say that it was a mistake to kill him off.
Yeah, right.
So it's a literal vehicle for Wes Craven to air his grievances about the franchise.
Yeah, right.
Whilst also commenting on the discussions that are being had in the fandom of the series as well.
Yeah, and there's further commentary on that.
Very progressive, like that, including that fan voice in a horror franchise has not been done up until this point.
Well, not just that, he's going to continue with the thread that you were talking about what children should be watching. Mm-hmm. First, before that, we have a kind of a good jump scare. I like that he's crafting the horror of his movies in different ways, because the jump scare is literally just a PA who's like, "You're late. We got to get to set." And she just sort of jumps on screen, but we got to get Heather into makeup, and then she's on stage. And then when Robert Englund himself bursts out onto set in full Freddy gear, the whole audience is just filled with children with Freddy masks on.
Well,
and I love the commentary that has to say about, Freddy's a violent child murderer, and yet all kids love him.
Yeah.
And so that's a further commentary on what we let our kids watch, because every parent is now complicit in what those kids in the audience are wearing.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
There's lots going on here. I think what you're saying about the carving the jump scare out of the kind of behind the scenes insight is really important, and the way that she's rushed to the studio and the heat of the lights. It reminds me, it's like it's not sort of just doing behind the scenes for its own sake. It's not just metatextuality for its own sake. Right. He's finding the horror in what it's like to be a celebrity.
Yeah, you get that a lot in the shadow moments when she's just watching Robert Englund and the shadows are jumping and you're watching her watch the shadows move and you're watching her internal horror start to rise. Yeah. Love that.
And then the other, I think the other really interesting thing here is that, and this is maybe where it outperforms some of the other Freddy movies that came before it, is, you're presented with the narrative problem of resurrecting Freddy every movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the only one that does it in a way where they're simultaneously commenting on the public discourse about killing off Freddy at the same time. So you have the talk show host.
Yeah.
Is Freddy really dead? So you're doing what every Freddy movie has to do, which is to bring Freddy back from the dead. But you're doing it in a way that brings in the cultural discussion about the pros and cons of doing that.
Right.
So that's the smartest approach to that we've seen so far. It's definitely not, the sea monkey version that we've seen in previous movies. And yeah, absolutely, the audio Freddy on a talk show is wonderful. We're commenting on
how of the time is Sam Rubin, right? I think it's Sam Rubin. That's amazing.
The kind of commercialization, reflecting on the commercialization of Freddy, which Wes Craven was never really a part of. So he's able to kind of look at that from the outside and talk about how ridiculous that is. But it's also, like, again, amping up the horror. It's not just that there are kids with Freddy masks in the audience. It's that Freddy goes out and he high-fives all the kids.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Again, it's like exploiting the fear of, like, what happens when a slasher becomes family-friendly entertainment.
Yeah, right.
And there's horror potential within that clash. Right, that's a disturbing idea that all these kids are wearing Freddy masks and they worship Freddy like he's Tom Cruise.
Or a deity.
Yeah. But so, and Robert Englund plays this scene to the hilt, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He knows his role in this scene both in world and as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also he keeps his run of his own face appearing in the Freddy movies going. It's three in a this is the hat.
Whatever that IMDb note was from 2, just continued bullshit nonsense of them saying, "Yeah, one of the few times."
Yes. And then we get into a section of the movie that, to me, begins to feel... At this point, it's kind of felt more like what you get in Scream, which is sort of a self-reflexive horror movie, even though we've got some kind of film production in there. But when they go into the offices of New Line Cinema, I'm starting to think of the Larry Sanders Show. I'm starting to think of that season of Seinfeld where they're making the pilot.
Their own show, yeah.
I mean, it's meta commentary on the kind of executive side of how movies are made. And then we get...
Here's a question.
Shea.
Yeah, does Bob Shea play a good Bob Shea?
No. Doesn't even play a good Bob Shea. He's the least qualified person to play himself.
Well, they all want Freddy back.
But in Craven's defense, he really has no choice because he's playing himself.
Right.
We can't have. I mean, it would be another whole level of you if you had the meta joke of Robert Shea can't act,
not playing himself.
We got an actor. We got like a, I don't know, like in Wayne's World where they can we get a better actor for this scene? And they bring Charlton Heston.
For any perceived slight that Bob Shea gave Wes Craven, if he took him out of this movie, and Bob Shea was like, "You're taking me out of playing me?"
they bring in like JT Walsh or something.
Yeah.
Put a curly wig on him.
Yeah, perfect. That's a perfect casting.
Well, yeah, it's like the character actor you always want to see.
Yeah.
And it's usually JT Walsh, who's still alive at this point, right? Yeah, he made it all the way to Sling Blade. He died very young, but he made it all the way to Sling Blade, I think, which was like late 90s.
Well, I think past that. He's in Breakdown.
Yeah,
that might be 97. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he died around the time of Sling Blade.
Okay.
There's so many good performances in that movie.
Yeah.
John Ritter.
Great.
That's the movie Forrest Gump should be. Forrest Gump should have ended with Forrest macheteing the people who bullied him. Anyway, but I wrote my note.
You're gonna need another magic leg.
the
Hack, hack, hack.
It's already better. My note was that bad acting shouldn't matter since he's playing himself, but he remains the worst actor no matter what he does, even when he's playing himself.
It's amazing.
It is kind of amazing, but you know, like it's the stylistically you can't do without it. He has to be playing himself. It's just that, you know, but this should have been the first time he was ever in any of the movies. That's all. I love...
I think she goes home and the kid is screaming bloody murder, right?
Yeah.
That's my next note. And it's that was really unsettling, troubling for me. I'm like, fuck. And what I like, too, is I think Wes Craven, in that moment, he gets to use the entire canon of the Nightmare on Elm Street series for us to build what's going on in this kid. He doesn't have to show it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just showing the aftermath of it.
Yes.
And so we as the audience get to build the horror in our own minds. And that's when horror is really at its best.
But also, you know, I think despite the meta trappings, it's the most legitimate version of Freddy going after kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where we get the first note of hypocrisy in the kids watching slasher argument, which is that she's reading Hansel and Gretel and she has to step over to like,
that's my note. I'm like, what is this? What are you doing? You're a terrible mother.
Parents complaining about children, the hypocrisy of parents happily reading horror fiction to their children and then complaining about slasher movies. So that's a really interesting scene, and then we're at the falling asleep at the wheel death.
Yeah.
Which is one of the rawest...
She calls the husband home, and we have that moment when he leaves, and he's clearly working for Wes, even though he's working on some different movie.
Mm.
He's working on the glove, but when he drives away, the glove's gone. It's
Mm-hmm.
missing.
It's one of the rawest kills in the series, I think. The freedom that this concept gives them from having to do an elaborate dream sequence, I think, is really
well. It also
liberating.
has echoes of the bathtub that never turned into a kill against Nancy.
The digital waves are the only thing that bothers me in the scene. When it comes out, when the hand comes out, it does a wibbly wobbly digital thing that is.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
they've had an iconography for that moment throughout the entire series, and it's the poking of a sheet or whatever it is. You see the poke first, and then it comes through, and then it rips. And it's always effective. That's why you always keep going back to it. So I don't know why they have
it was
that compulsion, probably just because the time.
Yeah, to quote Grandpa Simpson, it was the style at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, again, I don't kind of annoy you and go back to Star Trek, but Deep Space Nine, all the, the Odo shape-shifting.
Right.
That's what it was. It was just blending, merging. I've written diopter shot. Is there a
like
diopter
a split
shot?
diopter?
I think so. I'm not quite sure where this happens, but always love to see
not
it.
Not while he's in the car. Not while he's not during his murder.
I think maybe it's when she's receiving the call about what happened.
Oh, do they do a Jaws shot in that moment? Is that it?
Oh, what's it? Am I getting my terminology wrong? What's the?
It's different. The split
it called?
diopter shot is where two things are in focus at once.
Oh, that's right. But what's the?
But I don't even know what that shot's called. But the push in. Yeah.
Yeah, it was invented by Hitchcock for Vertigo. I know that, and then they used it in Jaws. And if you go to the Academy Museum, see the Jaws exhibition, you can recreate that moment for yourself.
Excellent. I think we should take our first break, though.
Yes, but that's just a shot like that just reminds me of like where Wes Craven comes from in the history of filmmaking. And
yeah, right. Definitely.
You know, he's he's a cutting edge filmmaker, but he's always got that old Hollywood in his back
But
pocket.
he can draw from old Hollywood.
Mm.
And it never feels it doesn't feel like he doesn't have ideas. It feels referential. It feels like he just knows the history of Hollywood and
knows how to make
because
a movie.
it works for the moment. Yeah, exactly. All right.
It's a low bar, but it's a bar we need.
Do we ever? All right, we're going to take a break and then we'll come right back right after this.
I like to think I know something about beer, but nowadays even I get overwhelmed when confronted by the exhaustive selection of craft beers they have at bars, breweries, and even grocery stores. Back in the day you had one, maybe two craft beers to choose from, and if you were confused, you ordered a Guinness. But in beerstinations like San Diego, the craft beer options lately are in double, sometimes even triple digits. So what's a beer drinker to do? You need what I need, the Vegas Beer Guys. Your beer of choice should be a perfect blend of malt and hops. And so a live show about beer needs that same balance. And the Vegas Beer Guys matches beer expert Dan Aker with self-proclaimed beer novice Stephen J. Weiss. The results are eminently drinkable. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They'll try new beers, they'll tell you about beer. Think of them as your beer Sherpas guiding you up a foamy-headed mountain to reach the peak of your pint. God, I need a beer.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tom and I are here discussing Wes Craven's New Nightmare, the 1994 film. I was about to say again, directed by Wes Craven, but when you say Wes Craven's New Nightmare...
It's funny, you know, if you look it up on IMDb, it just says New Nightmare, formerly Wes Craven's New Nightmare, so I don't know if they've rebranded
Oh,
it.
they changed their mind?
But that's a silly... Of all the titles that they could have, retrofitted.
Yeah, right.
That's the one
Retrofit
I don't
Freddy's
want to mess
dead.
with because the the metatextuality of that is
Right.
it says more about the movie.
It's in the title, right.
And New Nightmare just doesn't seem. That's what people refer to it when they don't have time to say the full title.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next thing you know, Heather Langenkamp.
That's a fair mistake in the context
one
of
and the
this movie.
same, right?
That's what this
She's
movie's
gonna-
trying to get you to think about.
This movie, this is it's one of those things where I kept going back to her internal horror and her, like this hunch she has. Something's up, something's wrong, something's not good.
Yeah.
And she goes to the morgue
Yeah.
to go see the body.
Well, it's there's the self-aware artifice of the premise, and then there's scenes like this which are just full-on documentary realism, like seeing your husband dead on a mortuary slab.
On a slab, right. And then, I mean, literally having it make you throw up and then going back.
And,
and saying, can I see him again? And it's so great when you see actors in small roles that turn up, like Earl Brown here.
Oh, that's right, it is W. Earl Brown, yeah.
And then he gets reused for Wes Craven in the Scream, first Scream movie. And then he goes on to do Deadwood.
Deadwood, yeah. He's
so
great
good in Deadwood. Love it.
I believe... Oh, no. Maybe he's not. Is he in Justified, too?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
Feels
remember.
like he should be, but I don't...
He should be, though, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's... And, this seems like a strange comparison, but I think about this in the same vein as I think about the Larry Sanders Show. Like, they didn't do a behind the scenes of a talk show as a stylistic exercise.
Mm-hmm.
They used it to get closer to the characters.
Yeah, right.
And real moments. And
Sure.
there's so many real moments in the Larry Sanders Show, and that's what makes it good. And here, I think Wes Craven, although doing a totally different genre and medium,
Yeah.
has the same approach where it actually brings us closer to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it removes the artifice.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that approach doesn't reflect what later filmmakers do with self-reflexive commentary. Yeah.
But it's interesting too because
he's
it kind of
using it that way.
And it kind of, for me anyway, it ups the horror. There's always that point when you're watching a horror movie when you just, if you get too scared, you think to yourself, none of this is real, none of this is real, none of this is real. But in this movie, all of this is real for this character.
Yeah.
That's the point of the movie.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And then we go to the funeral.
Yeah.
More cameos.
Oh, big time.
More earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns into a dream. So you're kind of like, again, it creates this really interesting limbo space between reality and fiction. Both both reality and the real world and the dream world. Between, our reality where an earthquake really happened and the movie's reality where an earthquake happened.
Sure. Actors
At a funeral of someone they worked on the movie with, not playing the characters but playing themselves. So all of this is the kind of the definition of the uncanny.
Yeah.
That leads to horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a scene in that respect. Conceptually, it's in the best possible way. It's a conceptual nightmare, not in the Luke Skywalker guys and dolls.
Luke Skywalker.
This is a conceptual nightmare. We're just a bunch of crazy guys and dolls.
Guys and dolls.
You didn't even finish Jedi school.
This is a conceptual nightmare. That's so good.
This show is a conception. Mark Hamill is Nathan Detroit. Pepper Steak is the entree.
Don't we get one of Rachel Talalay's bit of a vagina tube in that coffin?
Yes.
A little
Definitely.
bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the moment of John Saxon consoling his screen daughter at the funeral of her husband, it's like the boundaries between film and life collapse, and it's
crashing against each other. Yeah,
the comfort of that moment is kind of permeated by the strangeness of it. That it feels natural, but not. Like it's like they're father and daughter. Wait, they're not really father and daughter. But he's consoling her as if he's his daughter.
As if he is a father.
If it is her real daughter, and as his son-in-law's just died.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first glimpse we get of Freddy is not promising. This day glow colors.
It feels as though he's almost playing it a little bit more for comedy. That's what it strikes me as, because he's kind of playful. Yeah. I'm grabbing that kid.
I guess it's only been 3 years since Freddy's dead, when he was, remember, dressed up as the Wicked Witch of the West.
True.
But it's to me, it's less to... You're probably right, but it's less to do with England as much as like the day glow colors, how rubber the mask looks compared to the the pizza face that we're used to.
Yeah, right.
He looks. He looks like an EDM club performer. Like he's about to like do he's about to go dance in a cage.
I like in the documentary, like he doesn't go far enough, but I like in the documentary that Wes Craven at least waffles. He says he kept going back and forth of whether or not he thought that was a good idea. So at least it was in his brain that maybe this didn't work.
And I forgot that there's somewhat of an answer to the skip rope dilemma here, because we're back to the kid has heard the song.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, "Where did you hear that?" And I'm like, "That's the question I've been asking this whole franchise. How do those kids know that song?"
Right.
So it kind of moves it to it's scary. Like, you know, we've kind of talked about how they just kind of there's in each of the previous few movies, it's just an insert shot of the kids with the skip rope singing the song, and you don't know what part of the movie they belong to. But this is much scarier, where he starts singing it, and she's just like, "Where did you find? Where did you hear that song?" Like, they found a way to make it scary again.
Yeah, right.
Through the idea, through again resetting to the original, where it was like, you know, I guess it's like if your kid suddenly tells you a dirty joke.
Yeah, right.
And you're just like, where the fuck did you hear that? Well, you wouldn't say it like that, but because you compound the problem, unless they turned around and went, "That's you told me." It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
That's one of our intros. I learned it from you, Dad.
Yeah.
My next note is that we're at the playground, and this is terrifying.
It is, you know.
And I used to play at 2 different playgrounds that had this rocket ship playground.
It's the recognizability of it that makes it scary. Like, I think design wise they could have made it like a semi-gothic looking dilapidated playground.
Yeah, maybe.
But they make the right choice, which is this is contemporary 90s LA yuppies.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say I think I like this choice better.
That's what I mean. Like
yeah.
But you know, there's a low hanging fruit of
yeah, right.
A dilapidated playground, which, you know, a lesser film, but Craven knows it's the everyday plausibility of this movie that makes it scary.
Right.
And so when we go to a playground, we have to go to a playground that looks like it's the place that LA yuppies take their kids.
Right.
And that's I love that. I really love that.
Me too.
Feeling.
But him climbing on top of that thing and like reaching out to God, and
it's so simple and so it reminds me a little bit of The Omen.
Yeah, right.
You know, when the nanny gets up on the windows
in the windowsill, or
but it's, you know, again, like, extracting those raw horror moments in a movie like this is no mean feat. Until you remember that that's exactly why he chose this framing.
Yeah,
you
sure.
Can have moments like this.
Is there a moment I wrote down the line, "Why does God let bad things happen"? Is that Heather Landekamp asking John Saxon?
Isn't that the kid?
Or is that the kid?
I think that's the kid, and that's great because...
Whoa, that's even more frightening. Fuck.
Well, I mean, as a parent, you get one of those on a daily basis, especially around the age my son is now, where he asks these kind of, like, existential questions, and you have to try and answer in a way that shows you that you don't have a clue. You're as oblivious to he is, and all life is pointless. You just gotta, you know. No, really. I mean, you have to disguise you have to disguise your nihilism.
For you, don't you just always say, "Just watch movies, son. It'll all get better if you watch movies."
Well, this is where, like, it's useful to be to be a religious, be a parent with religion, because at that point you've got an easy answer.
Yeah, right. You can.
But if you don't have that, then you're just like. You're just like, my go-to is always, "That's a really good question. You're really thoughtful.
You're a thoughtful person."
And then you compliment him, and he forgets that he even asked a question.
That there was a question.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I'm so proud of you for asking that question. And I am. I like it's not untrue. But I'm using
right.
I'm using it as a way.
I'm using it as a tactic, but that doesn't mean it's not true.
It doesn't mean it's
not bullshitting that child.
My next note is about I've seen I really like a real insight into the world of Robert Englund as an actor, as an artist, as you see him painting while he's on the phone, and it's like it's interesting as well because it's the equivalent of the movie, in that, you know, we're making a movie within a movie, and Robert Englund is painting a picture in the in a piece of art.
Yeah, right.
So, and he's also, creating these. I don't know how much this is like Robert Englund paints these pictures. I see no other reference to this, but he's painting.
But it seems plausible that this is his own painting.
Yeah, and it's horror. It's kind of specifically horror art. They look very Francis Bacon-esque. So I like that kind of. I like that idea.
Yeah, and I can't remember how.
And getting lost in the art as well, because doesn't he have to put
Yeah,
the
because
phone
he's
down?
that's what I was going to say. He's barely even paying attention to her. And I can't remember how long from this moment it is when she calls back and the message machine is just on, where he says, yeah, we're out of town for a while. It's Freddy Krueger himself is running away from Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Like, if he just goes on vacation, he can avoid it.
That's so true. Yeah, he just disappears from the movie.
And I just have to wonder, that's the other cool aspect to this movie. I mean, it doesn't seem to be happening to John Saxon, but it's happening to Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening to Robert Englund. It's happening to Heather Langenkamp. Like, is what's happening to Heather happening to Robert Englund as well?
Yeah.
And we're just not seeing it? It's all off screen?
Yeah, and his, which I think is kind of based on reality. It's like he's sort of now well adjusted to the idea that this is his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
That this is his life now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Which, if you watch the documentary about him, I think that, it took a while before he
accepted
got
that.
But he accepted that. But once he accepted it, it gave him a whole nother career of, like, going out and appearing in movies from first-time horror filmmakers,
Yeah, right.
so they could get some traction and stuff like that, and and trading on Freddy,
right,
for him to get work and for him to get other people work as well.
Get other people work, yeah.
So it does. There's a kind of Zen quality about him in this movie that's really interesting, and I think kind of reflects where his life was going at the time.
Yeah.
And going into being a director
himself, sure.
He did.
Now my next note after that. Sorry.
Oh well, no, just trivia. He directed an episode of the Freddy's Nightmares series,
and
he said he did that just to get his DGA
card.
Yeah.
Does he direct 976 Evil?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, my next note is that we have the claw through the sheets, and Nancy wakes up and goes downstairs, and her son's, like, trying to kill her with the taped knives to his fingers.
Yeah.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's every parent's nightmare. That's what this movie should be called, Every Parent's Nightmare.
Wes Craven's Every Parent's Nightmare.
And it's, the again, the idea of, like, playing with that parental fear of, like, your kid could pick up one of the many knives that exists in your house and
just do damage.
Or just kill you. I mean, they have that power if they want it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't sleep well.
That's why it keeps you up at night.
Yeah, that's why I keep a harpoon under my bed.
Dirty Harry style?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you harpooned your son? Little fucker was after me.
The old Oscar Pistorius defense. Is it Oscar Pistorius who shows his girlfriend in the bathroom?
Girlfriend, yeah.
You think he would have said, like, is that you?
Yeah, right? He wanted the element of surprise. Anyway, it's awful.
Is this where we go to the hospital after this?
Yeah, he takes him to the hospital.
Now,
and this is interesting because that happens in the first movie as well, where mother takes her to the hospital, and you have that parallel.
Yeah.
And so now life is imitating art. Art that's imitating life is imitating art.
Yeah. Art that's imitating life is imitating art that's imitating life.
Right.
At least. There's probably 3 or 4 more of those.
Maybe we could squeeze more
recursion.
in, sure.
Theory. Let's go back to the Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the theories of recursion. A man is watching a picture of a man watching a picture of a man watching a picture. probably one of the best performances, or at least one of my favorite performances in the series, is the Doctor. In this movie,
So good.
There's a quality. There's a sort of a, I don't know, like a quality about it that I can't necessarily quite explain why it's so powerful. But it really is. There's something about her.
Oh, I think
tone, her reading of lines.
She knows.
It's a bland part, but
she knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah,
she's in complete control of her performance and where she sits in the movie and her role. And you know what? What I love about it more than anything is, even if she didn't become Freddy at one point, it'd still be all that. But then when you add that she can become sort of menacing with the claw and become Freddy.
Yeah. And she's the one who's voicing the kind of the media hysteria, saying, those, I think she says, those films.
You don't let him watch your films, do you?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like...
And there's, what I like all of her readings are... Yeah. She's just asking a question, but there's a lot of judgment.
Well, that's it, and there's a lot of this is one of the hypocrisies that he's pointing out. It's like, you take this kid to a doctor, you want them to find a medical cause for what's going on with them, and all they can talk about is,
what are you doing wrong?
Like conservative culture wars.
Yeah.
And this is probably more true now than it was then. Even what if you go to a doctor, take your kid to a doctor, and all they want to talk to you about is QAnon, or right, or like Obamacare and how awful that. You know what I mean? Like it.
There's also an interesting moment between mother and child, because they're trying to get him to take this sleeping pill, and she can't say to him, "Don't do that," but she kind of looks at him and nods her head. And I love that this very small child has the headspace to take the pill and swallow the water. But then the second that nurse leaves, under the pillow it goes. I didn't fucking swallow that pill. What are you, nuts?
And again, this is the real life trappings of this movie give you an extra dimension, because the original Nightmare, the fantasy is built in to the premise, but here this relies on some weighty philosophical theory about fantasy by a theorist called Todorov. But the idea that what fantasy is essentially when you don't know whether there's a non-scientific reason for what happened or not.
What happened, sure.
So when the idea of child schizophrenia is floated here,
right,
we're like, okay, we're still in we're in the framework of a movie where there could conceivably be no supernatural element here. It could just literally be he's developing schizophrenia at an early age.
Yeah.
That there's a rational explanation for everything up to this point. He's seen the movies. He's acting out the
horror.
The horror, yeah, and which is something when you look into like people who've said there are poltergeists and stuff like that. They a lot of the time it turns out that they are the poltergeists, and they're schizophrenics, and they just don't know that they're the ones tapping the the pipes and the things like that. So, but this is a series first. Like, we've never been able to play this because we've always known that Freddy is real. Freddy is real supernatural presence. But this is a totally different framework where it's perfectly possible that there is nothing going on beyond the material world, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, right.
Would I have
to
preferred
find
it to
out
stay that
a
way?
Child this size,
and maybe would have
just schizophrenic.
Maybe would have I think ultimately it's fine that it goes into the dream demon territory, but I think
it's kind of what we signed up for.
It's what we signed up for. Maybe you could have played along a bit longer with this idea, that because I don't know what point it becomes. I guess when we talk to our Van Helsing Wes Craven, who's gonna
that's coming up. That's the next.
I think that's the moment where we're like, okay, so there is a supernatural presence in this movie.
Presence within it. And that whole scene is really interesting to me on two different levels, actually, because
Yeah.
one, Heather, she has to leave her child at the hospital, which seems like the last thing you want to do.
It's never worked out before in this series.
Yeah, right. Right. Exactly.
If this series has taught us anything, don't leave your child at the
But what's
hospital.
interesting is there's two reasons. One, she needs to get answers from Wes.
Mm-hmm.
I need to kind of gauge what the fuck is going on. And two, she's supposed to go get that dinosaur because apparently it's the one thing protecting her kid from Freddy.
Mm.
And I love the idea when she talks to Wes.
And he's offered her a part in a movie.
Yeah, right.
Right?
What I love.
They're having a meeting.
Yes, exactly. But what I like, because Wes mentions it at a certain point, what he talks about was this new incarnation of Freddy has come about because we stopped making the sequels.
Yeah, brilliant.
Making the movies has kept him at bay, and now the force is out. That's a really interesting metatextual idea.
And it's kind of reflects existing ideas about what horror fiction from folklore onwards is there to do. It's there to keep those evil spirits from intruding on the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the folklore is a kind of, he's referring to a kind of built-in self-reflexive mythology around horror fiction, which is that it's keeping evil at bay.
Yeah, right.
By working out
by working
fear.
it out, right?
Yeah, work out the fear. It's got a cathartic quality, which means the evil won't exist in the world after you've kind of participated in the experience of horror fiction. So, giving voice to that through this, through this, not quite retcon of the mythology, but supplemental reinvention of the mythology, which. Again, in the frame, like the reason it works is the framework of this movie, right? It wouldn't work if you threw this into Nightmare 6 or Nightmare 7,
right?
In the middle of Nightmare 7, guys, it's all bullshit. But the fact that they're able to sort of say, the mythology is not. We're not debunking the mythology. We're just saying that the films are kind of a reflection of something that is really happening to us in the world.
Right. He brings up that idea of the residue of the series, because the only way Freddy can get into the real world is by going through his greatest foe from the series, which is, I guess, in this incarnation's mind, Nancy, but it's Heather Langenkamp.
Well, it could be Nancy, Alice, or Patricia Arquette was her name.
But I think Wes Craven says directly, he says his greatest foe is you, and that's who he has to get through.
Yeah, and
these are all pretty heady ideas.
They are. And
also while they're having the conversation, I believe the conversation is, we don't see it being typed, but we see Nancy see the end of their conversation and fade to black.
The word document of the screenplay.
Yeah.
So, there's also the idea of dreams as premonition.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, there's a real world premonition in this movie in that they have an earthquake in the screenplay and then an earthquake really happens. So that's another level. But also just, the idea of the metatextual idea of following along with the script.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those videos you get where people have done script to screen where they show you the movie and then they kind of, you're scrolling through the screenplay at the same time. It kind of also feels like that. And also, I think what else is, first of all, as I said, I think he's playing, Craven in the scene's playing the horror archetype of the expert, right?
Yes.
So again, this is kind of horror 101. You need an expert voice to kind of come into the movie and let you know what the mythology is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the part of it, but there's also kind of the anguish of Wes Craven for releasing this force into the world.
Yeah, right.
And which kind of plays with the idea of a film director being held culpable for the violence that they put on screen.
Yeah, he's complicit.
He's complicit in it. And I'm sure Wes Craven would be like, that's bullshit. But again, good horror filmmaker. That's a good idea for a horror movie.
So let's put it on there.
Let's put it on there. So it all kind of feels like the way that he describes it as well. And this is where I think Craven's ideas have always led popular cinema before it knew where it was going.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of multiverse storytelling is in there too. The idea of it's not that it's not that it's reality versus fiction. It's that they're both existing in independent timelines.
Right.
So he's on to more than even he probably recognizes about what people are going to do with narrative storytelling in cinema from now on.
Yeah.
So it's quite a scene. I think we're gushing over most of the movie. There are some aesthetic problems. To me, the orchestral underscoring doesn't work in this movie. There's like scenes where they're kind of they're panning around LA showing the damage from the earthquake, and there's this really kind of heavy orchestral underscoring that to me is just like I kind of get the classical feel of it, but it's all wrong for this movie. I think something electronic.
Yeah, I was gonna say
more
something
like a soundscape or just silence. Silence would be fine actually for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like go full Larry Sanders and then just the only music be the music in the media that we're watching or something.
I didn't make a note of it. Like I don't remember it really bumping me, but what that as you were talking, that idea of something that matches how forward thinking the movie is seems like a better idea.
Yeah, and I think I think that this is an interesting time for music because, as we know, this movie came out at the same time as Pulp Fiction, and of course, the jukebox soundtrack.
Yeah, right.
Is taking hold at this point, and then even in movies about movies like Get Shorty, they have a jukebox soundtrack as well. Well, actually, no, they've got
have that
the
whatever
John
that
Lurie
one
soundtrack
band
too.
is. Yeah, that
John Lurie.
Okay.
From Jim Jarmusch's movies.
All right.
But it's... Oh, you're right. That's a regular soundtrack. They have Green Onions, but everyone uses Green Onions, so I suppose that doesn't count.
Okay.
You know Green Onions. Even if you don't know Green Onions, you know Green
If
Onions.
I don't know that, I just know that music when I hear it. Whoever that...
That's Green Onions.
All right. I think I watched them open for Dave Matthews Band once.
No, that's not... Green Onions isn't the band.
Oh, that's the song? Okay, who's the band?
Oh, I can't remember. You know where it was...
I'm out of my depth, Tom. We're going to have to move on.
Do you know where it was first used in a movie?
No.
Before it was in every movie? Blues Brothers.
Oh.
There you go. So, yeah, I think the music is off. It's just, it's like some design elements to this. Aesthetic is not, it's going too far because aesthetically I think this movie is excellent.
Yeah, my next note, because we're...
Design elements that are off.
Okay. We're pretty deep in the movie, but this is where Nancy finds out that those two guys that worked with her husband are dead. Mm-hmm. She sees a news report.
Yeah.
That's a long time to keep it from us. I like that where we drop it. I think that's excellent. And I also have a note here because we have more earthquakes. And I assume this is intentional, but what a great metaphor for Freddy coming back into the real world.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And she's doing her... It's interesting because the equivalent sort of scene at this point is Heather, where she's, reading about all her booby traps and home aloneing up her apartment.
Here she's reading about sleep deprivation.
Right, and it looks like, this is probably what Wes Craven looked into when he was coming up with the original Nightmare. He talks about those Los Angeles Times articles, but probably he went to a few psychiatric journals as a professor of humanities would. And, it reminds you that this series comes from a place of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, not something that is readily known or, seems like it could be possible, but it's more vindication for turning the camera around and making a movie like this, because
sure,
this series reflects real life more than, Halloween or Friday the 13th, even though, they don't, up until a point, they don't have fantasy elements associated with them for the first 2, 3. When does Jason become supernatural? 5,
6.
Yeah, that's right. Technically,
right? That's when the lightning reanimates
on the
him.
technicality, yeah. So that's 6. When does it happen with Michael? When do we know Michael's 5? When he's asleep for a year?
Maybe.
Well, it didn't make it into the movie that he was revived by voodoo, right? At that point, he would be supernatural, but they didn't make it into the movie, so...
No. At that point, it's just like he's getting over being shot. Like he's healing slowly.
Healing for a year. Without
He's in a coma for a year.
Unless that old man is
so that makes him still a man, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, so my next note, because I think this is where Freddy repopulates proper.
Mm-hmm. Plastic Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like it's a little bit more style over substance.
Yes.
Because...
Well, the blue flashbacks are not a good sign. When you get the blue flashbacks to earlier points in the film, I'm like, come on, guys, you can think of a more inventive way to do this. Like, why can't we have her reading this stuff on screen? Like, we know it's in the screenplay that Wes Craven's written.
Yeah.
But this movie can come up with a different way to express this. No.
Right.
Anyway. But
I don't know. For me, it seems it's a great moment for, say, a preview. Guaranteed it's in the preview. Him popping out of the closet and saying, "Miss me?"
Yeah. If he didn't look like he did, that would be... Yeah,
true.
That would get an audience
excited. But I think they think it looks better than it does, obviously. Yeah. That's why they did it. But until now...
It's like he's in a chicken costume or something.
Yeah, right. Until now and after now, the entrance point seems to be the child's bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure why he's coming out of the closet. And then we have what you see.
Maybe he's coming out.
Maybe.
He's sort of like, remember all that stuff I did in 2?
Totally gay.
I was so gay, but I couldn't tell anybody. You remember that from The Simpsons behind the laughter episode?
Is that Cletus?
No, at the very end of there was like a behind the laughter there
where they have a the
VH1 behind the music parody episode, and at the end it says next week, Huckleberry Hound.
Oh, that's right.
And you go, I was so gay, but I couldn't tell anyone.
What a good show.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so my point was, like, we have what you're saying. It should be the pinnacle moment of the film that should be the most frightening, but it's undercut, I think, by...
The music, too, is terrible.
The way he looks.
The music is too much as well.
Really?
That's where you get
I don't remember.
Dun-dun kind of underscoring.
How does she get away? I have a note that says the fight... Also, it's like fits and starts. Like, I think at times it looks really good. At times it looks like stilted stage combat.
Well, are they trying? I mean, is part of the stiltedness that they're trying to do like a shot for shot of their encounter in the original movie?
In the original, maybe.
So they're like
he just disappears, right? At one point.
Yeah.
I think he goes to the hospital.
Yeah. It's. And I'm sympathetic because I don't know what you do with the look of Freddy for the movie you're making. I don't know, because you've got too many different competing demands. I think you've got, we want Freddy Krueger as we know him, but we're also aware that the Freddy Krueger we knew is a, you know, like a representation of something else.
Yeah.
A manifestation of something else. So that's hard to put on. Both those elements are hard to kind of put on screen.
Right.
And it makes me think that maybe you just, I don't know, you just serve up original recipe Freddy, but you emphasize that he looks more like he did in the original movie than he has subsequently.
Right.
You know, that he's even more corpse-like than than the last few sequels. I don't know. I don't think there's an obvious answer, and it makes sense that Wes Craven was indecisive.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of, what they ended up with just felt kind of, I don't know, like it was just whatever it was, even if it was indecision, it was going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Of what it should look like. Like, it should have, because it looks so synthetic. Whatever it was they came up with, like, I would have forgiven it more if it was too visceral.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that fits this movie better.
Right.
But the fact that it's so synthetic kind of lends credence to the idea that this is just a stylistic exercise, which it isn't.
Yeah. Right.
But this part of it is a little bit superficial, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, let's take another break, and then we'll come back and finish up.
All right.
All right. Right after this. If you like podcasts like I do, boy, do I have a treat for you. You need to
stay on target
and check out the Sounds and Cinema podcast. Listen as your host, sound designer and music creator Tony Parham, and co-host, musical performer and sound lover Derek Hansen, D-Rock if you're nasty, and I am, discuss all things sound related to film, television, stage, and theatrical productions. They discuss environmental sounds, bioacoustics, dialogue, the nature of communication through sound, but as an added bonus, they drink beer and try to
stay on target.
Find them wherever you get your podcasts and listen to the pure mania of a man who can charitably be described as Doug, the dog from Up, and another man with a soothing and sultry voice trying to get that man to
stay on target.
That's the Sounds and Cinema podcast. Tune in and listen to the sounds they are creating just for you. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tom and I are finishing up with either New Nightmare or Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
The 1994 film directed by Wes Craven. Believe it or not.
It's Wes Craven's New Nightmare, directed by Wes Craven.
Well, so what I have is I can't remember if the earthquake precedes Freddy jumping out of the closet or if it's part of his disappearing. But I know that gets Nancy in a huff to go straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a smart device that I like, because she shows up to the hospital talking to the doctor saying she was delayed because of the earthquake, I think. And the doctor's saying, what earthquake? And she's like, the earthquake we just had. Just now, it's just a few minutes ago. So now she seems crazy. And everything, it just upsets everything for your lead character, what she needs, what she wants to do. This huge obstacle appears because now she seems crazy and the doctors have to keep her from her own child and
it's also,
ask her if she's okay.
There's another example of like doctor gaslighting, isn't it? Because,
yeah,
like,
right.
Like crazy, an earthquake in LA like the one we had 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
How does she know there wasn't an earthquake?
Yeah. That's the assuredness of doctors.
Yeah. I got a routine.
Did you catch the, I love the throwaway screw your pass? Did you catch that?
Yeah, screw your pass.
I love that.
A routine I really like, and I might use on my own children if necessary. The double syringe routine.
The fake out? That's my next note, yeah. I was like, this is wily good work by these nurses.
Luckily, I don't have a kid who's afraid of needles, but if he ever does become afraid of needles, I know exactly what to do. But also, it's the idea of, like, again, something I love is that he's prepared to make children suffer in his movies in a way that most filmmakers of his age would have
unwilling,
would have kind of aged out of.
Yeah. Oh, and we haven't really
I was uncomfortable putting guns in their hands.
Yeah.
So I replaced them with walkie-talkies. Whereas Wes Craven's like, I'm going to superimpose guns to their hands.
Yeah. I'm gonna shoot this kid up with drugs, and then I'm gonna have Freddy bring his claw out, just a quarter of an inch from his face.
One kind of
we haven't talked about her yet, but we have Julie the babysitter.
I was about to talk about this, and I think part of the reason we haven't talked about her is she's kind of one of the few undeveloped characters in the.
That's right. I mean, she only appears at the very beginning, and then shows up here because she shows up at the hospital. That's one of the reasons it's a good fix too, because Heather has to leave her son, but it's a good fix that it makes sense that she's willing to leave her son because Julie's there.
Yeah. But,
and I love that Julie punches out those nurses for that fake out.
I mean, that's something we need to establish prior to this scene, that she's so badass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, there's no sense of, she just seems like a regular babysitter. So there's some shortcuts in the storytelling here. I mean, I dread to think what they did to make that kid look so sleep deprived, but
yeah, right.
He really sells it.
But this is the first time in the entire series, really, that the civilian population gets to see what we see.
Yeah.
In other words, everything that everybody's been complaining about, this guy's in my dreams, he's doing this. It's Fred Krueger, Dad. Nobody believes anybody. And now the nurses, Julie locks the door, but once they get in, they're going to be watching Julie's murder in the same rotating room manner that we get in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, by the way, of the flashing back to... Because in the first movie, you never see Freddy. It's just...
Yeah.
What's that character's name?
Tina.
You just see Tina rising in the air and then writhing in pain on the walls and the ceiling.
Yeah,
but here you flash back to Freddy. And again, he's not...
Is it flash?
He's not really menacing.
Like we cut away to Freddy, like Freddy's.
Well, because sometimes
invisible.
We see just Julie on the wall,
yeah,
and we don't see Freddy there. But then we go to the shock nurses. We cut back, and Freddy is there, dragging her.
Yeah, that's probably part of the problem, I think. But I mean, arguably we'll talk about this on Patreon, but arguably the best shot of Nightmare is the scene where she's moving seemingly.
It seems like they're afraid to do that again.
I think so. I think that motivates a lot of what Wes Craven's approach this movie, normally for the better, but I think this is one example where either you just do something completely different or you kind of accept that it's not really going to work any other way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone would feel... I think he's the only one who's kind of trying to think around it. I think everyone else is just like, well, just do it again.
Yeah, right.
Just do
You don't even have to do the on the ceiling thing.
No.
Like, he could be throwing her from across, just off on the floor across the room. Stab, 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 throw against the other wall, walk over, pick her up, stab, stab, stab again, throw.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's hard to... You got to put yourself in the mindset of, as you said, they think this looks good.
Yeah, right.
They think Freddy looks good. But
True.
I don't want him there because he looks like Roger Rabbit or Jar Jar Binks. And he's wearing a green trilby.
And leather pants.
So he looks like a cartoon in a live-action movie.
What about the overcoat?
That's so kind of like 90s...
It's so arch.
It's like 90s fake cool.
Yeah.
And And I guess, I mean, they didn't know it at the time, but, the trenchcoat mafia, right? The whole sort of Columbine thing. But it's kind of like, yeah, he's like a sort of LA hipster look, almost.
Yeah, right.
Of the early 90s, and it's just not right. I don't understand what the justification was for those particular choices.
Mm-hmm. There was this part of me that thought, I mean, I still don't like it, but I was like, I could almost, I'll accept the trench coat if you got everything else right.
Sure. Yeah, the trench coat could work.
Yeah.
But also, I mean...
But it also, everything looks like it was just purchased out of Macy's.
Mm-hmm.
It's so clean.
When you think about how how ratty and holy not holy in the religious sense,
no,
only to me, holy to me, that his sweater is in the original.
My Lord and Savior, Freddy Krueger.
Because it kind of, and that's over time, like the sweater starts to fit him. It's like skin tight. In that original one, it's hanging off him.
Yeah, it's very loose.
He's just, again, like he's got that homeless dude quality that he kind of sheds over the movies, and this is more than doubling down on that. It's kind of sort of like Freddy's been to the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Yeah, right.
People.
Now, if we just dug out some of this burnt face,
they kind of look
more
like
of a molded skull look,
because I think
it would really accentuate your cheeks.
Yeah, his like inner skin. If I don't know if that's the correct term. His inner skin.
Called Dennis Quaid.
Inner skin.
Martin Short.
That's the porn parody, Inner Skin.
Yeah.
It's like in perfect holes, perfect circles on his face.
Yeah.
Which is, not how wounds work anyway.
Sure.
But it seems like he can kind of control that look.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's been kind of like, it's like groomed wounds.
Right.
Yeah, that's not what we
anyway,
mean when
we also
say dress a wound. That's not what it means.
No, not at all. But we also get that fantastic doctor becoming Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, we do.
Love it.
That's good. That's a good moment. And then we're in Fantasyland after this.
Yeah, she goes home. I always find it a little implausible that she forgot the doll a second time.
You've really never been a parent, have you?
Okay.
No. It's not. It's a hat on a hat.
It just seems
it's a green trilby on a green
trilby. It's life and death for her son, I think. So I don't think she would have forgotten it the first time, even if she had just been attacked by Freddy.
Mm-hmm. But
she has to go back to get the doll while the shot renders him asleep, so now he's fucked, like he's in dream world.
Yeah, it's, I mean, Fantasyland is kind of part of the design problem of the movie. The clouds gathering, that effect doesn't really look. It looks like The Lion King or Honey, I Shrunk
the multiple
Kids.
Freddys.
Multiple Freddys is a great idea, but this is the last Freddy Krueger that I want to see reproduced. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
Like, this would have been amazing in 3 or 4.
It also seems to me that they didn't really have the budget, because they cut away and they keep at a distance from these faces. So it looks like they certainly haven't sculpted 25 actors the way they do Robert Englund.
No, and you
just
wouldn't need to now. You could easily cut it up, so it could just be trick photography. It's like, remember when we did the Planet of the Apes sequels, and any ape that was in frame had the real ape mask, and then if you looked in the
from a
background,
distance,
it was like a Halloween ape mask,
just bouncing up and down on their head as they walk around.
And then you look even further back, and you can see someone's just like got a coconut over their mouth
because they didn't finish the front of the mask. Just
yeah. But I mean, this obviously this is where John Saxon comes into play, and He, tries to rescue her out of the world, and I think this is like, the lengths you have to go to do good fan service, right? You have to create a metatextual movie because, there's within the world of the Nightmare series, there's no way that John Saxon can come back and as his character and rescue Nancy because she's dead, and presumably he's dead as well in the timeline at this point. But in this framework where he's sort of it's like, what do fans want to see happen again? A recreation of this moment, but these are just the actors, trying to save each other. So you've got plausible deniability that you're not being indulgent.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to kind of make a movie. You have to kind of arrange it so there's a metatextual movie, a conceptual nightmare of a movie around it for it to work. And that's why fan service doesn't work the rest of the time.
Yeah, right.
You have to go to these lengths to make it work.
And I can't remember because I remember that, like, I don't have it in my notes. I have that Dylan's trying to cross the freeway.
Oh, yeah, the freeway.
And that Nancy's at home, and she's kind of following the pills. She's eating the pills. A lot of sleeping pills.
Well, also very Alice in Wonderland, right?
Sure.
Eating the pills and being dragged through the bed sheets into different realities.
Into the dream world. But how does Saxon show up
at the house? I
think he shows up at the house, but what's he do? I don't really remember. She just goes under the bed sheets and she's gone, right? So what's he do?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, there's like 3 layers of deja vu going on because it's like actors playing themselves, recreating scenes from the previous movie, and that's kind of a conceptual nightmare. That's what this movie should have been called. This is a conceptual nightmare.
Does that freeway stunt freak you out, watching a kid? Is this...
It freaks me out in Bowfinger. Of course it freaks me out here.
Yeah, right.
That's one of the... I mean, that's an
Bowfinger
extraordinary... That freeway scene.
Let's do it again.
Exactly.
But
oh yeah, I mean it's again, yeah, it's like he's gone to the source to the fountainhead of parental nightmares.
Yeah,
for this kid, and exploited every single one of them.
There's that moment. It's another moment, just like I said in 3, with the big superimposed Freddy. I mean, at least the big superimposed claw. And I'd rather see him himself off to the side, kind of puppeteering him.
I'll drive in one of the cars.
Yeah, maybe. Because he puts him over the fence towards his... He puts him over the fence towards his house, right?
10-4, good buddy.
Once again, Freddy in a truck. But anyway, at any rate, so Heather, she falls through the open mouth that's supposed to look kind of gothic in structure, I think. But this is where it really falls off for me. It just does, none of this looks as good as they think it does.
It's so insubstantial looking.
Yeah.
It looks like and the Hellmouth is like a carnival kind of attraction.
Yeah, sure.
But it leads well into Freddy versus Jason. This is where we find Freddy at the beginning of the next movie.
Sure. Or it's weird, too, because even before that, Freddy, he has one of those, he pops out of the sheets, right?
Yeah.
But he's not waiting for her in the house. He pops out of the sheets, but then is just gone.
Well, it's all a tunnel to hell, isn't it, at this point?
I guess. But why come out of the sheets just to go back into the sheets and wait for her? Other than you think it looks cool.
Yep. They kind of do everything here that they avoid with the playground scene, because they try and mix in classic gothic horror with the modern slasher imagery. So, and you know, they have to pay some attention. I think you're right, to Freddy being revealed as this kind of ancient evil intruding into the modern day. But that partly, I mean, it's partly a design issue, but by making that shift to, you know, from this incredibly modern looking movie, contemporary, you know, both the the way the
That's
film,
part of the problem for sure.
both the way the film is made and what the reality it's reflecting is all contemporary, and then you shift into this kind of like Ghost Train looking.
And you don't have to,
motherfucker.
because that gothic feel fits the old Freddy, not this new Freddy. Look at your Freddy.
That's right. You're your Freddy could
Look at your plastic-faced Freddy. He's different.
And I mean, so maybe the solution was to make Freddy steampunk in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to
That
have
would fit.
That idea of like putting,
Because that's a
old
good
and
bridge
new.
between old and new, because that would feel
He could still wear the trench coat.
boiler room adjacent.
Yeah. Just have big
Yeah.
goggles,
Yeah.
stopwatch.
I like the eel in his eye.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting as well, like given that Wes Craven's going back and he probably thinks there are aspects of My Freddy that got diluted in the sequels.
Yeah, sure.
And so there's not many, I mean, he's not, probably, I would say 97% less puns than the last time we saw him.
Absolutely.
He does say bitch, which is
Yeah.
interesting. I think that actually Craven should have said, well, like, that's a sequel. That's sequel Freddy. Because it feels like, there is a moment of like, ooh. I mean, yeah, I know it's a Freddy we know, but this doesn't
But
feel
this
like...
isn't the Freddy we know.
No, and it's Wes Craven, and you think Wes Craven wouldn't, mind you, I mean, I suppose he wrote part of 3, so he probably thinks like, okay, we'll let in bitch. We'll let in
Yeah,
bitch.
right.
Yeah. And there's,
Just this once.
you know, there are lots of kind of callbacks to the dream imagery of the first movie, the long arms,
Yes, right.
getting stuck in the mud, like the way she gets stuck on the stairs, the
Right.
furnace, the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are all kind of...
We're kind of
again,
playing
like,
greatest hits.
we're playing greatest hits, but the fan service is in service of something other than just indulgence and repetition. It's about this was all something real, but it's been represented in 2 different realities.
Sure. We're playing around with the psychosexual nature between these 2 characters. Like, he throws her up against the wall. They point that out in the documentary, that the column or whatever it is right next to her says lust.
And the psycho music. We get the violin. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun sound.
Yeah. I don't think I ever noticed this until this viewing, that I think when she is stuck in the mud, but she gets out and stabs him.
Yeah.
She stabs him in the dick.
Mm.
Never noticed that before.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah.
Was she able to get through the letter?
Yeah, hard to say. That's why maybe he had a little left in the tank after the dick stabbing to tongue wrap her. And it's funny, it's like this tongue wrap thing seems like the culmination of tongue throughout the whole series, as though in sequel form they have one-upped, because it's not just out of a phone or wrapping ankles and wrists. We're going to do a full head wrap of the tongue.
Full head wrap, yes.
Mummy style.
You pay a lot of money for that service in Vegas.
Yes, you do. Believe me, you.
And so, like, they're wading in the waters of digital here, but they're
Very much, yeah.
They still want to have some practical effects in the manner of earlier movies, and the one they pick is the stretching head, which is the one that's practically designed. And I think again, because of the Freddy that they've chosen to create, this sort of underlines the plasticity of Freddy. Like, he's Mr. Stretch.
Yeah.
Like, I would want them to go with something that enhance how visceral Freddy is, but this kind of makes him feel less real.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously it's an impressive practical effect to have his head stretch the way his neck stretch the way it does.
Sure.
But it design-wise, it underlines the essential problem.
Agreed.
Also, don't like the way that that they do the photographic matching of his of the devil face.
Mm-hmm. With the forked... Because she stabs the tongue, and
Yeah.
then he gets a forked tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets that superimposed devil face as he's burning.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it's a little bit in the vein of Turdworm, that he's just a manifestation of this, you know, he's just the devil's bitch, kind of.
Right, right.
That would have been a great line. It's like, you're just the devil's bitch. And then she kills him.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait.
Not
Last word. And then it ends in a in a manner I have described as straight-to-video Temple of Doom. Looks
Absolutely.
like somewhat like an asylum version of Temple of Doom called like Temple of Woe or something, or you know, place of worship of woe.
Temple of Fire.
Temple of Fire, yeah. It's so funny how many of the I'm constantly looking up on various streaming services the different horror movies, and it's so funny how they try and get away with making you think a movie is part of a franchise that it's not.
That I know.
Like there's one quote. There's like 28 months later. I saw.
That's
because it goes 28 days, 28 weeks, then it goes to 28 years. But someone has made a 28 months later, but it's just completely
great.
off-brand. It's so funny.
Well, and with the Troll movie, we've seen that before with the sequel.
Well, no, I mean they're not literally not part of the franchises. They're
that movie is literally not part of the first Troll movie.
no, but it's
the
not
goddamn goblins.
But the difference between like not following the story but still being part of the franchise and then trying to pose as a franchise movie when you're just a completely different movie.
That is what Trolls 2 is. It's a completely different movie.
No, it's not. But it's still considered Troll 1 and Troll 2 are part of the same series. 28 months later, or you know, there are Alien and Terminator movies out there that just use those words to try and get people to watch them.
Yeah, but that's what that movie does. I mean, it might be considered part of the series, but it shouldn't be. That's just
No, I know that, but it's a different proposition. They're purposefully giving you an ersatz version of the title to try and make it look like. That's a whole different genre of franchise filmmaking. It's what Asylum... It's like whole production companies that are based around doing this.
right.
So, you know.
The only thing I do like is when they get back into the real world and fall out of that sheet, and she opens up the sheet and there's smoke. I like that little smoke effect.
Yeah, it's when we get back into the real world, it's very Spaceballs to have her reading through the film screenplay to find out how the movie story ends. And then I love the kind of
also seems a bad idea though, reading that to the child.
But that's it. It's sort of like everything that's happened in the movie that they started at the point of don't let him watch those movies, and like it's just like we've landed on the kind of compromise of it's okay for kids to read horror movies.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be watching them, but they can read them.
Reading's always good.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
I think again that's like a different part of the debate. It's like if you're gonna read, you know, Little Red Riding Hood to your kids, it's okay to read them the screenplay of Friday the 13th Part 8.
All right. Well, you got a credit check.
Yeah. So the the orchestral music ends, and then we go to mid-90s R&B version of the theme, which dates the movie enormously. I think the music is pretty much misjudged throughout.
You've made that clear.
It's funny, there's an introducing credit for the kid.
Yeah.
And then it says, and John Saxon, which makes it look like this is John Saxon's first film. and in a way it is, because it's probably the first film where he played himself.
Right.
So it's the first time we've seen John Saxon play John Saxon.
And John Saxon as
John
Saxon.
John Saxon. Yeah, the cast list is a conceptual nightmare, I wrote. In
like
order,
so many things.
Because it's in order of appearance, so the first... Not aside from the fact that one side is exactly the same as the other
Sure.
of the credits. In order of appearance means Freddy's hand double is the top billed.
Great.
The
Love it.
Graveyard Worker, Beans Morocco.
Well, now that's a name.
That is a Beans Morocco. That's sounds like an incidental character from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah,
Who's
very
the guy
much
in the
so.
back of the tuk-tuk? That's Beans Morocco.
Beans Morocco. He definitely sounds like he's the handyman on the boat that Antonio Banderas works on.
And I almost missed so many people playing themselves. I almost missed that it says Freddy Krueger's played by himself,
Oh, nice.
like R2-D2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got a couple of got some double relative action in the stunt driver section.
Okay.
Lance and Tim Gilbert, George Esack and George Asack Jr.
That sounds terrible. The sacks.
Stunt drivers are up there with the most related crew members, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Stunt people in general.
Yeah. I've broken every bone in my body. I'd like you to break every bone in your body.
Yeah, you
son.
think you wouldn't want it for your children, right? And it's like, I broke my bones so you could become a lawyer or a doctor. Not,
Yeah.
I want you to break similar parts of your body. Because
With any luck, you'll die young.
but that's so counterproductive, isn't it? Because you're supposed to set your kids up to be able to care for you in old age.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going to be a couple of skeletal husks dying in the same hospital room.
Together. Yeah.
Oh, you'll love this because you mentioned the Eel Wrangler,
Nice.
Heather Eel Double. I want to make a movie about Heather's Eel Double.
Do I ever?
I thought they were snakes, but you obviously recognize them as eels.
I did indeed.
So
I know my eels.
This a credit I don't understand unless it's a metatextual joke. Footage from A Nightmare on Elm Street, courtesy of New Line Cinema Corp. So who the fuck made this film? Why are New Line Cinema crediting themselves?
I don't know. I think maybe that's a legal thing. Maybe you have to. You show something, you have to thank them.
But not if you got
Or-
you got it from your own vault.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the legalities of it. That's the only thing I can think of is if you show something, you legally have to say where you got it from. And like, but we got it from ourselves. I don't care. Put it up.
Now, I don't know if you noticed the novelty disclaimer for this movie,
No.
but they keep the metatextuality going until the very end. So instead of the boilerplate disclaimer you usually get, it says some parts of this motion picture were inspired by real events.
Nice.
Others,
That's good.
and then others may be attributed to the overactive imagination of a 5-year-old boy. Isn't that excellent?
That's fantastic.
So they naked gunned their own credits to talk about the liminal nature of this film.
Yeah.
It's great because sometimes it's really interesting because sometimes I see that disclaimer and I think about the film I've just seen and I go, that's not adequate to describe the film I've just seen.
Right.
Like if it's a piece of historical fiction or something, I'm like,
Yeah.
you can't claim this. So I love that they've adjusted it for the kind of reality limbo of this movie.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's great.
That's it.
That's it, yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have our reservations, but we like this film. It's interesting.
Sorry, I thought you said we have our reservations. I was like, are we going to,
Like we gotta
going
go?
to dinner after this?
I think it's fascinating that such a good movie is built out of a film that we have so many problems with the huge climax, the Freddy himself, and Nightmare movie in general.
Yeah. It's too good.
But it's still so good a movie.
In the last episode, we said that these are more kind of side projects, spin-offs than series movies proper. But it's kind of too good to be just that.
Yeah, right.
But not good enough to be considered part of the series proper. So it's kind of in its own limbo there.
Yeah, right.
But if you sort of think like, well, you know, if you eliminate Freddy from that paradigm, and you think about, you know, what's the film about in spite of Freddy,
mm-hmm.
it works so well on its own terms.
Definitely.
It's that kind of like, you know, because when people talk about this movie, they think about the metatextuality, but I think what strikes me is that it's wholly successful when it exists in reality, and then when it brings in fantasy, it breaks down.
Yeah.
So almost like the film kind of falls away when you lose that ambiguity between whether what's happening is real or whether it's fantastical.
Sure.
But then that itself is part of the project of the movies as well. So you can't really,
mm-hmm.
you can't really blame it for doing that. But it's just less satisfying at that point, I think, than the movie it starts as. But what an achievement!
Oh yeah, it's a good watch. All right, you're gonna have to tell us what you think. Do you agree or disagree? Fire up that computer and let us know, or your phone, I suppose. Let us know on Facebook or Instagram.
Don't put your computer in the fire. I made that mistake.
Just the once.
That's how I got this burn.
Find us on Facebook or Instagram or Threads or X or Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
You said a mouthful. Yeah.
I get to the end of Blue Sky and I always feel like there's one more.
Well, we're not on TikTok. There are more, but we're not on them.
Right.
TikTok or Snapchat.
Don't find us on Snapchat.
Does Snapchat still exist for anything but escorts?
I finally, the other day, when you like start downloading new apps, and I thought to myself, Snapchat, why do I still have Snapchat? I don't need Snapchat. I'll get rid of Snapchat.
Yeah.
We can get rid of that one. I like that one to be right here. This new one to be
MySpace.
Take the place of Snapchat.
Substack.
Yeah, MySpace. I never had a MySpace page. Didn't care enough to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Or send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. That's it. When you hear us next, for a second time in consecutive years, we're going to be talking Freddy versus Jason.
It's our annual discussion of Freddy versus Jason.
That'll be great. All right. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Shantz here of the How Dare You Awards. Like I said, next week is Freddy versus Jason again. Say goodbye to everybody, Tom.
Every kid knows who Freddy is. He's like Santa Claus or King Kong or... Complete the sentence.
I don't remember.
No. It's not. That's what it cuts off there. He's like Santa Claus or King Kong or... What's the third example?
Santa Claus, King Kong. What year is this? This is 1994. John Elway.
I was gonna say Newt Gingrich, but you know.
That's good. Yeah, love
John
that.
John Elway's way better.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back.